Mm. Hello, welcome to Integrity Live. My name is Bekka Whitney. It's lovely to see you all again this week. I have a very special guest, like I say every week, but this one is super special. Would you like to
Oh,
introduce yourself to our viewers and let us know
yeah.
who to talk about today?
Do you say that every week?
I do.
A special year every week.
Every week. Yep.
um, Hi everyone. My name's Simon Robertshaw. I'm a conductor, and I'm a composer, and I'm an arranger. And in my past, I've been a concert violinist and an orchestral violinist for most of my life. But I also have been a metal bassist, and been in lots of bands in the northwest of the UK. And I'm getting my first professional assistantship at the Vienna State Opera in October till December. So that's kind of like the big thing that's coming up. So it's the first time that's kind of because it's kind of been unofficial, up until this point, and then now it's been official. So.
And are we getting a little exclusive there? You're giving us a little
Yeah,
exclusive.
little exclusive. Oh, little exclusive. But no. It's great. It's great to have something during this whole crazy time for something really good to work for. So, I'm working every day, and I've got things going on. It'd just be so easy to sit at home watching Netflix. Going, oh,
Like I do.
Or just like, oh, I've still got some booze in the shed, left
Do you think
over.
that's been important for you then during lockdown, actually having something to keep you active and keep you focused?
It was lockdown. I think has given a dual purpose to people. It's either you've either gone one way or you've gone the other. I don't think there's much in between. So you've either it's worked really well for you, or it's not worked at all, and you've had to. And there's been a lot of thinking that's got kind of negative, or it's been positive, and you've chucked everything out of your house and go, well, I don't need that anymore. And
including myself.
yeah. Better take myself off to the tip. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been very positive for me because it's allowed me a lot of time to work on scores and projects for next year, and luckily things have been rearranged. So obviously, like everybody, we lost out on a lot, and it's really hit the arts industry and the performing industry, not just the promoters and the people who put on these events globally. It's also the artists, the people who put all the stages together, all the techies, all the electrical guys. I mean, everyone's just been thrown in at the deep end, and it's just been shocking.
And I think one of the hardest things is that the arts was pretty much the very last thing to come back. Gigging, so that's kind of what I do. I've only just been back being able to gig for the last 5 weeks. So everybody else was getting to go back to their jobs much sooner than that. But for the arts, we were seen as non-essential, which is
crazy because when everyone's been off, they've been listening to music, and they've been watching Netflix, watching the actors, and then it's always the same, is that the arts are always put to the back. But then when you need them, where's the support? So I think it's terrible the way over the last, well, at least in the last 20-30 years I've been around. Music education has taken another step down, another step, and literally it's just, you can hardly find it in schools now. If it is, you're very lucky. So.
And it'll be the basics, so it's always the thing that gets the less amount of funding or the less amount of opportunities,
which is crazy. It's crazy.
But actually, I think for a lot of people without music, especially in this period of time, I think probably a lot of people would have lost their minds a lot more. It's our escapism, isn't it? It's our release. It's what calms us. It's what helps us manage our emotions. It's what connects us, and so that's I think what I'm
Yeah,
seeing
and
back is the joy on people's faces of seeing live music again. Just that alone shows me how important what we do actually is.
yes, absolutely, because there's a direct connection to the music, and there's a direct connection to the people, so who are producing that music. And as a conductor, I'm basically a conduit that allows the greater creative force through me and through the musicians through into the public, or the audience, or however you like to say. So that's and when you feel that actually happening live, it's indescribable. I mean, not just doing it, but I'm a punter as well. I go to gigs a lot, and it's just so important for our fabric of keeping bonding everything together. It just seems that a lot of the glues come unfastened in the last 6 months from society, because people aren't able to express themselves, or all the inner joy, or the emotions that music takes you through, and you're allowed, I mean, listening to it on a CD is or a record is just amazing, of course, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. What do you think has kind of changed so much in the live scene over the last couple of years? I think we've moved away from the talented musician. Not in your field, you're very lucky to still work with incredibly talented musicians, but everything for me is kind of electronic and copy and paste kind of sound now. Yeah. We've lost.
I don't know. I don't know. It's. I must admit, I've just become a bit of a vinyl freak, and we have a fantastic record store called Eastern Bloc Records in Manchester, and it is absolutely fabulous, because you can go up there and you can go on the decks, and you can and you talk to the guy who's running the shop, and say, look, I'm into a deep techno. And he goes, right.
I got you.
Yeah. Right. Here you go. And you give them amazing stuff to listen to. So, I think, people making music in a studio at home is bloody brilliant, because it means that you get even more stuff. You're exposed to more stuff. And it's brilliant.
That's how I create. I don't play an instrument, so how I produce is.
Wait. This is your instrument.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's your beautiful instrument.
But the difference for me between that process, or then getting in a room with a band with some drums and a guitar and a piano, the energy and the vibe is lifted so much more for me. Do you find a difference in those different ways of creating when you're with live musicians versus in the studio? Is it different? Does it feel different for you?
Yeah, it is. I tend to just put a different hat on.
Okay.
And I find that whenever I'm playing or I'm conducting or whatever, it's very symbiotic. So all the experience that I've had from that, I will then take with my hat into the studio, and or I'm composing. I've heard something that's just, even if it's by somebody else, or it's triggered something else, and then the synapses start firing and just go, whoa, that's amazing. Right, I better go back home. I mean, how do you write? Do you start off with lyrics, or do you start off with a melody, or do you start off with something somebody said, or do you start off? I mean, there's many ways.
All different. It really depends on my mood. Sometimes it'll be a melody that I can't get out of my mind. Sometimes it'll be a situation that's happened and I need to vent about something or express about something. I find it quite difficult to write to order. I find that quite a challenge.
Oh, you mean like if someone says,
can you write a song about that?
Well, that's how George Michael felt, and MJ. They're like, no, record labels, no. Like you've got 6 albums to write. Prince was like, no, I'll write them in my own time. No, I totally agree. But the thing is, I agree with that, but I actually kind of work to pressure. Like, for instance, when I was doing the arrangements for Gary Newman and the Scaparis, when we collaborated with him, I literally had 11 months to write 19 tracks, arrangements. I shared them with Simon, my Withenshaw, my other co-arranger. He did 7, I did 12. But you know, the problem was the turnaround. It was like turning around a huge freighter. You know, it takes 3 miles to turn around. Like, it's not like you know, like it takes 3 miles, you know, to turn around. And because what would happen would be Gary would say, okay, well, we're going to work on these. We want these tracks for the set, but the set didn't come until very end of August, the full set. So it would then go, right, okay, so I'd go into Sibelius software and I'd write it all on a piece of paper, and I'd write down exactly how the song was structured, and then I would write in you know, orchestrationally what I thought might sound quite good, like, I need a couple of double bass pizzicatos here, like with a hammer on from the harp or something like that, and I'm hearing a bit of, you know, flute or whatever. Yeah, depending on what it was. And then I would then put that into Sibelius, which is the software, the music software, which allows you to sort of orchestrate and then hear what you've written. It's not very good samples, but it's okay. But then I would have to then transfer that to Simon's gear, because he worked for Warner Brothers and he had all, you know, for TT Games, and he had incredible software. So, excuse me. And so that would then get sent to Gary, and then Gary would either say yes or no, and then if it was a no, it was a no. But the thing was, he was always on tour. I mean, he was in tour constantly, like through that whole 6-month period. He's in South America for about 2 months, and then he had one day to wash his underwear and, like, you know, or whatever, you know, and then go to North America on tour. So it was always, and then there was a 2-week lag. So that was just for one song, and there was 19 songs to write. So you can imagine, you know, but there was a deadline, and because there was a deadline, it was great, because I didn't have loads of free time to sort of like, I'll get around to it in a week or so. You know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you have to, like, you know, I think sometimes it's good, but I if you want, like, creative juices to come out, like compositional wise, I think you do need to have your own sort of, like, it's almost like meditating, isn't it? Like when you've got your own peace of mind and you're content with things, or maybe you're not content and you're like, I'm really cross it, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna write this.
That one works well for me. That one works well.
Yeah. It works well for a lot of people. Yeah. We know a few. Yeah, but no. I mean, that's the whole point. Is it? I mean, look. Okay, if this is what we're here for, we're here for the human experience, right? We're souls in a human container, and we're, like, here to experience emotions and also, you know, and learning, and I think if that's kind of prevented, like, you know, this lockdown COVID kind of thing. I mean, I understand health of, you know, maintaining the health of the world population, but, you know, we've got all sorts of other things as well, and all sorts of diseases going on. It's like, surely, you know, I'm not going to get into anything political.
Oh, we could go down a rabbit hole of conversation on this one. I think we might maybe we should. Yeah.
I think that's been discussed in quite a few other areas, isn't it? You know, so no. Let's get off it.
So tell me, when did you decide you wanted to be a conductor? Tell me.
I've always wanted to be a conductor. I've always, but the problem is that you don't just become a conductor.
Conductor, right?
Right. Traditionally, there's 2 ways. You either go down the opera route, or you go down the orchestral route, or you're a pianist, or, you know, most of all, it traditionally used to be you're a pianist, and you'd become a correpetitor, which means that you accompany singers for the opera, say an opera house in Germany, like, you know, so Cologne Opera or Dusseldorf Opera or Hamburg Opera, and then you would do that for a number of years, and then you'd assist the chief conductor, the main conductor, and eventually you would become the conductor. But that would take many years and lots of years of working in an opera house and learning all the ropes and
kind of like an apprentice route kind of thing.
It's absolutely an apprenticeship, absolutely. But I went kind of like the sort of other route, which was the orchestral route. So I became a violinist. I mean, I was playing the viola, I was playing piano as well. So and then I was in the BBC Philharmonic for like almost 15 years because I needed to be at that level, that top level, to be able to then have the integrity to step in, stand in front of up to 100 people, maybe more, and sort of and have the confidence with which to and then they sort of go, oh, this guy's, having the gravitas, I think is the word. Like for instance, if like say, I don't know, any of you out there, do like a presentation for some colleagues or something like that, it's, you need to do it a few times before you sort of get, this is fine. I'm not getting nervous at all. Yeah. In fact, I used to get nervous playing, but I don't get nervous conducting at all, because conducting, most of all, conducting is more about administration and preparation and organization, and then it's the 10% is conducting. It's just it's mad, really.
So what was it like the first time you stepped out with the baton? What was like that?
What was it like? Yeah, it was great. I was like, woohoo! Power! I made it. Well, it was on the amateur circuit, so it was like about almost 20 years ago, and so they're amateur players, but being a professional player, I was helping them get to a technical level that they were able to to make things sound as professional as possible. So again, it's a lot is to do with sound production, and I mean, even in the opera that I'm going to be doing in October, it's all about getting the best out of singers, getting the best out of the players, and like, if, as everyone knows, if you stand in front of a crowd and you're not feeling confident, people can tell, can't they?
Yes, they can.
So like trying to sort of, you can't hide, so it's like I'll just show them this side, Do you know what I mean? So you have to feel good about yourself, and good about being with people and trying to get the best out of it. And basically that's my job, is trying to get the best out of everybody, and then giving that to the audience. That's my job, basically.
Having worked with you, I think you do that very, very well. I think that's
I was just about to say
magic about what you do, how you bring everybody together and you lift everybody's confidence. It's the nuances that you notice and see that other people perhaps wouldn't. That's kind of what's about conducting.
Well, I was just about to say that I was very privileged to work with you, and I was very gushing about you beforehand. So I'll tell everybody now. Bekka is an amazing singer, and she just is so natural and very, very powerful. I mean, like I was describing, there's a very famous singer. I don't know if she's dead now, but Jessie Norman, is she still? I think she's still alive. But Jessie Norman, this huge opera singer, she has this incredible stage presence, and that's what you bring. But there, for instance, we like that very instance. We had somebody who was a backing singer who was very nervous, very jittery, and so there are people of different confidence levels, and not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
So
that's what's important about your position, is that recognizing that not everybody is the same, and different musicians, different artists need a different approach, or need a different tact, or need a different kind of conversation, and that's the magic of what you do.
Yeah, it's bringing all the elements and instilling the confidence that people can do something that they may not feel that they can do, and then they see that they can do it. It's like, woo, right, okay, we're at that level, right, let's go to the next level. So it's about just getting right to the absolute peak of the mountain. You know what I mean? And even higher. So, yeah.
So the conducting is one prong. You've also you play in metal bands. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've just finished doing the EP for This Is Turin. I'm playing bass, but they've just taken their bass player back, so I'm sort of just doing session work at the moment. And but I don't know. We'll see how that goes, because I jumped off a stage in January and I broke my leg.
Ah.
So,
laughing probably wasn't the appropriate response to that. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, I was crowd surfing to Necrogoblicon and in Manchester, and I got on stage fine. I landed on stage fine, but then I ran off and jumped off the stage, and I landed with my legs straight. And so, but luckily I'd had enough to drink. I didn't feel very much until a bit later. I
was going to say, was you walking around on a broken leg for the rest of the evening, thinking that you were okay?
I was like with the gas mask and it was like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, give me some more of this. Yeah, that was the end of my childhood. If you see what I mean, it made me really realize I better be an adult, otherwise this is going to happen a bit more.
Oh, that's so boring. It's so boring. I don't want to grow up. Who wants to grow up?
You got enough. You got plenty of time before you get
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on at the minute.
Well, I'm working on the opera, which is Das Verratene Meer. So this is it. It's 852 pages, and it's
it's not much then. Not much, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've just had a 2-hour Zoom meeting with the State Opera this morning. So about all the because there's tape effects in this as well, and basically it's a sort of it's a kind of a mad piece. It's a very Eastern philosophy kind of piece by written by a guy called Yukio Mishima, and he was basically sort of an anarchist in Japan, and it basically it's all set in Yokohama port, and there's a widow and her son, and who's 13, and then the seaman who's in love with the mother, because obviously there's no husband around anymore. But then the way it works out is that the Noboru, the son, has 4 friends, and basically they gang up and then they kill the seaman, and that's it. So that's the premise of the it's so it's not, we can't think of it in our own in Western philosophy. We're going to think of it in an Eastern, like fate brought everybody together.
Yeah. So all that love and honor stuff, all that.
Oh God. And there's 27 separate percussion parts. Like, so you got the big like Japanese odaiko drums, like like you see the Japanese drummers doing that. So you got all crazy like instrumentation without any of the staging. So it's a bit like so I'm working on that, and I'm going to be working on
when's that going to be?
There are 4 performances at the Vienna State Opera, the 13th, 15th, 18th, and 21st of December. So it's just before Christmas. So I'm going to spend a week in Austria snowboarding after that. As long as I don't break my leg, I'll be all right.
I think it'll be well deserved. Not the leg breaking, but the skiing.
And then after, as soon as I come back, this is right up your street. Is that I'm collaborating with Jay Weirden, DJ Jay Weirden. Does anyone know that?
Yes, I don't know that name.
He was a big guy in Gorilla, the old days Hacienda, big, started all that stuff off. And I got to meet him via Mark Hilton, who was our cameraman for
a cameraman. Yes,
you remember? Yeah. So basically, because everyone knows everyone else, and the acid house scene isn't very big especially nowadays, now that people like the people who are still hardcore about it are really hardcore about it. And so I'm teaming up with him, and I'm writing 4 arrangements of some really cool stuff because Gorilla and the Deafest Studios, if you remember, in Manchester, you know, these iconic places, but somebody's come in and stepped in and kept them alive, thank God. You know, so this is another thing that I'm really passionate about, is again, you know, keeping the live music going and making sure that you know, I get all my young players, because a lot of them are just out of college, you know, so you know, I want to show them what it was like for me when I was a young professional and I got all these opportunities. And that's why, you know, when they came on tour with Gary Newman and me, it was just like, they were so brutal. They absolutely tore the place apart, and like they invaded the tour buses. They got really drunk in Birmingham City Centre, and it got really kind of like messy, but
they lived a rock and roll lifestyle, basically.
The rock and roll,
that's your fault. That's your fault.
yeah. I totally admit it, but I'm like, just carry on, man. But you know, but you have to be a bit of a schoolmaster as well, because like, okay, guys, that was okay. Second day in, that's great, but we don't want to get on the front of the newspapers and like and going, yeah.
Maybe you do.
Cancel
no promo, free promo. So how do you select your musicians for your orchestra? What's your process? Because you've built an orchestra, right? They're all
yeah. Well, when I was in a BBC Philharmonic, I mean, I knew that my time was sort of coming to an end there, and I knew that I had to take the plunge into professional conducting, because I was on the amateur circuit, but I wasn't. And so what I had to do was I had to go back to the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester to study conducting, and it's a really great course. But I was the first associate student, so basically, but on that particular course, I wasn't a master's student, so I didn't get to do all the stuff that the master students were doing, like conduct the chamber orchestra, conduct, you know, in concerts and stuff. So I was like, right, well, I better form my own orchestra, so that, because as a composer as well, I'm wanting to get my symphony, which I'm writing at the moment, played. I need some players to play it. You know, I can't just sort of put it in orchestral software and go, oh, isn't it great? Oh, you know. So I basically spoke to friends of mine, said, look, you know, I need some extra players, and students are brilliant, because they're like, yeah, I'll do it, yeah, for free. Yeah, like, let me at it. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. And you know, I bought more beers afterwards, of course, and you know, but basically, and so being BBC camera director, it was just a long story, but for the Philharmonic for 5 years, which was another part of becoming conductor, because visually I was able to then see an orchestra in a sort of 4D rather than it being like seeing them on the outside and go, oh right, you know, but knowing what it's like on the inside, knowing what it's like on the outside, knowing what it's like visually as well. It was a very, very important thing, because as a conductor, you're going to work with camera directors, you're going to work with cameramen, you're going to work with. So I was determined to actually learn and myself and get stuck in, and you know, became a BBC cameraman for 6 months, which was like awesome. You know, got to hang out with helicopters and do crazy stuff.
That sounds like a story in itself. What do you mean hanging out of a helicopter? Explain that.
Somewhere. Okay, this is a long story short. There was an internal BBC film competition called Aspirations, and at the time I was windsurfing quite a lot on the Wirral, West Kirby, which is kind of like, it's got this marine lake. Anyway, the marine lake was being fixed and by the council, and so I thought, oh, that'd be a really cool idea to make a film about the place, and I can interview the windsurfing instructors, and I can interview the politicians, you know, and interview public, and And Michelle, my partner at the time, was BBC radio journalist. So she said, "Oh, I'll come with you. I'll do the interview." So we did that, and but it was kind of boring because I was like, you know what? I just need a really great. What's the best shot I could possibly get? It's like helicopter shot. So and the BBC only have a few companies which they will work with externally, and for things like that. And so so I found out where it was, and it's an airport in Harden, in North Wales, and basically got down there and met the pilot and like, right, okay, strap in, oh, cool. But obviously no gyroscope, so I was sort of going like this because the helicopter's really bouncy. Like, I was like, this is really cool. And anyway, it so happened it was a really hot day, I think June or something, and West Kirby's near Hilbre Island. Hilbre Island's a big an island with a nature reserve on it, and all these birds and seals and dolphins come, But when the tide goes out, it's sand, and people go out and walk. Anyway, so I get all this footage over, and it's amazing. Go back, and Michelle calls me up when I'm done, and she says, "Hey Simon, have you got any footage of Hilbre Island?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got some of the best footage from there." And so, can you make it to the Northwest Tonight studios as soon as you can? I was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Oh, get out my and anyway, I went up to the studio. I was like, I got the tape. And it was literally like out of the film. Everyone was like, he got the tape. And I was like, oh. And so it was brutal. So basically, then I started to get to know them more, and then I won a Stepping Stones placement, and from the Philharmonic to Northwest Tonight, because the BBC, as you probably know, loves cross-pollination between departments. They encourage that kind of thing. So I won that placement, and so I had a mentor for a month, and then they literally shoved me in a van with a camera and all the stuff, and said, "Right, where do you want to go?" I was like, well, I mean, I got 5 or 6 jobs every day, and did that. But then, as part of my remit back to the Philharmonic, I became the camera director as well as playing as well. So I was very, very lucky. But so that as part of my training to be a conductor was invaluable. I mean, because I was able to then mark up all the scores. So it's like the scores like this, but with all the camera shots, so that I could direct that. In a different way to
not only the sound but the visual as well. So it's
absolutely, and then seeing how it all connected, and what was and what an audience, intrinsically on a subliminal level sees as well, and like, which is what I kind of did with the Newman stuff, because we were hitting. First of all, they were hit with Gary and the band. Goes without saying. Then the lighting rigs were all the new laser. I mean, it had been developed for that particular thing. So there's all this new lighting gear. Then there was the orchestra, and then there were all the arrangements, and then all the nuances from the arrangements as well. So people were just being like, they just didn't know where they were being hit. I knew where they were being hit, but they didn't. I mean, subliminally. I'm talking, of course. I'm not talking like
capturing all the senses from all the angles.
All we did was like see an orchestra and Gary Newman, who was great. It's like, yeah, and that's what we wanted to, but there's all sorts of little digs to your subconscious that we're working on. So that's. Yeah, so you're almost like an amateur psychologist as well,
Jack of all trades. So from all of the things you've done, and you've done a massive amount of things, what's your favourite? What's the pinnacle for you? What's the one?
Was up until now was the Royal Albert Hall performance with Gary Newman, because there was this bit that again. to cut a long story short, when you're structuring a set, which Gary was, I mean, I don't know how he managed to work that one out of 300 or 400 songs that he's got, you know, in the back catalogue of all this stuff. And he was able to create a sort of, you know, a mountain for people so that their emotions were sort of, oh, yeah, that's great. Oh, yeah. Oh, and you sort of go down a bit. And then you come back, yeah. But then there was a moment, because I'd written it in as well, where the high points were, you know, and I knew that this particular point and I just literally pointed my like hand at the sky, and like in the Royal Albert Hall, there are all these sort of, they're called the mushrooms. And basically they're the dampening acoustic baffles which they have at the top, and there's this tiny little hole in the top, and it just goes right to the top. I literally just like pointed up there, and I just felt this electricity just go like straight through me, and just like, and everyone was like 10,000 people, and like it's got no, you know, because you're like, your face is like losing all control. It's like, I mean, you can't beat that, because I was connecting myself with my people. You know, I mean, not my people. I mean, my, you know,
your people. Yes, everybody.
Humanity. Yeah. And we're hugging each other, like, you know, in a deep sort of love embrace, and it was like, I think Vienna, you know, because I'm assisting, so I don't know if I know I'm conducting when I get there because of the rehearsals, because I need to be able to jump into Simone Young. Simone Young is this amazing Australian conductor. She's been on the circuit for years, and she was the youngest woman to conduct at the State Opera. And she's been Australian Woman of the Year. I mean, she's an absolute tour de force. I don't know where she gets this power from, but so it's an absolute privilege to be her assistant. But I have to be just as almost like if she goes sick or she goes, I'm not really feeling
just as prepared. You have to be just as prepared and just ready. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put on my feet. Yeah, you go for it. Oh yeah. So if I'm not like bang, yeah, of course, yeah, let's do it. Then, you know, I have to be like as though it's mine, as though it's my baby that I'm giving birth to.
Did I hear you say earlier that you're also writing a symphony of your own?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay, there's a story behind that. Oh God.
There's a story.
Right. Okay. I grew up in Kenya. So when I'm Scottish, I was born in Scotland, and then my parents moved to Kenya, and so I grew up there, and I basically got my first recorder there, and I got my first violin there, but my mother always used to tell me that Father Christmas had my presents at the top of Mount Kenya. Now, Mount Kenya, not many people know about Kenya. They know about Kilimanjaro, but they don't know about Mount Kenya. And Mount Kenya is like the highest ferrata in the world. So basically, it's the highest place you can go without oxygen. So you have to train for it and acclimatize. And so Kilimanjaro is sort of like that, and then it's like that, and it's like that. It's just it's kind of boring. but Mount Kenya is like got all this sort of basically the Maasai they open their doors, like they have their doors facing Mount Kenya, so it's like spiritually it's you know where God lives, kind of thing. And at the top they have these peaks called Batian and Nelian, so who are chieftains basically. And Point Lenana is on the top, so like next to it is not the highest point, but so basically I obviously to go to Mount Kenya and to find out if Father Christmas was indeed at the top of Mount Kenya. So I trained a lot. So I trained a lot, and then went up, and I had a guide and went up. But then, you know, because it's basically 26 kilometers to the base of the mountain, you know, so you sort of going up a long range, and then it just goes like 17,000 685 feet.
It's making me sweat just hearing that.
Yeah. It's absolutely. And the thing is that it's I've never had like I don't encourage you to do it, Bekka. Especially as a thinger, you kind of need you kind of need your oxygen, you know, like and so but I've never experienced it because like you get
wow.
It's because your body is it hasn't got enough oxygen because you know you can feel it just thinning out. It's really scary, and a lot of people can't cope with it because obviously it's, you know, they get have lung problems or so and at the top I got chilblains, you know, and so my I'm putting my hands on Peter, you know, his stomach. I'm like crying with the pain, and you know. No, but anyway, but the whole point was to see the sunrise as well, because we set off at like 2:30 in the morning with like two other groups of two, and we went up and so seeing the sunrise in the morning was over the clouds. It's like, oh, dude. But then you know, and then there's 4 different. You go through rainforest, bamboo. And at 10,000 feet, it's like the Peak District. It's really weird. So and my dad said a couple of months later, he said, well, that must have been, I mean, that experience, you should write a symphony. I was like, that's a good idea. Because then, a bit like Richard Strauss, you know, with the Alpine Symphony, he went up a place called the Lurza, which is a big mountain, and he was there in a storm, and basically he wrote the Alpine Symphony based on that. And it's like a tone poem, so it's like, but it's, to me, it's an exercise for myself as well to write my emotion, to see if I can get the emotion out of the music that I feel. So like the beginning is like me on the way to the base of Mount Kenny. It's like in the car with the tunes on, like, oh, freedom, you know, like, and just feeling that exhilaration, excitement. And I want that right from the beginning. Just like, how do I write that musically? How do you write that music? Well, it's challenging, of course, but like you, when you're saying, like, you write when you're like angry, frustrated, or lovesick, I've no idea, but I mean, like, you know, or depressed, or anxious, or it tends to come out because you're feeling it, and it's how it's what you feel, because we're humans. The emotion comes from here. And you know, and this is kind of secondary, really. I really think, and so I mean,
I'm really looking forward to hearing that. I would imagine is that a lifetime working process?
It's no. It's in the, it's a 2-5-year 10-year plan, but it's within 5 years, because I can't sort of let it. Again, I've got to sort of a little bit, you know? Otherwise, because it's so easy to just and I think if you've got a voice like you have, or you've got something, everyone's got something, you know, whatever it is, and use it, you know, you know, you've got the opportunity here to use it, and watch it grow, whatever it is, you know. That's what's amazing about this place, is that you can do that sort of stuff. Okay, maybe not at the moment with COVID, it's a bit harder, but that's not going to be on for much longer.
No. We won't let it, but that's another conversation.
No. I need to come and see you in downtown London.
You do. Come and see us in Soho.
Yeah, stopping cocktails, watching Bekka. Oh my God.
So is there anything else you would like to tell us about today?
Well, what do you think? Well, I just think people shouldn't get too despondent, you know, throughout this. I mean, I think to me, I mean, integrity means truth and being honest. And there's so many things that are going on that where there's not much honesty and there's not much truth, and it's like, and I think everyone's fighting a battle with truth and honesty, and I think it's a very difficult period, but I think out of it all, you know, will come goodness, and you know, I think it's a battle of good and evil at the moment. I seriously do. I think it's just.
Well, we've got to step out of the zone of fear. I think that's where we've all been pushed into this absolute zone of fear, where we're terrified of each other. We're absolutely terrified of each other, our neighbours, our shop owners, our school teachers. And actually, I think the answer to that is actually just caring about each other more. It's actually
love everything. Love, absolutely. And I think I'm not going to get into what I think it really is. And a lot of people have suspicions, but
we'll save that for after. We'll save that for the after conversation.
Okay. But I think a lot of us are being lied to, and I think a lot of us have had this fear being put on us, and I think the time is to push back and just go, no, I don't want that. And life is precious, and we all need to, you know, look after one another and just help each other through it, and we'll come out the end. You know, positivity.
I think that's a beautiful point to finish our conversation. Now, normally, Simon, you've been very lucky. Normally, my guest would sing us a song at the end of our interview and showcase their latest single. But we did have a chat about that. But you are going to share something with us that we can post on the magazine page, aren't you? You're going to share.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What was it I was going to share? I can't even remember now. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, it was. I think it was going to be one of the arrangements of. Well, I could actually give you one of my electronic things and see what you think about that, because it just shows. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love electronic music, and that's what I buy when I, you know, go to the record store. But I like a lot of everybody, you know, got in a like home studio and got Cubase, and I was like, oh, let's tinker around. And I mean, that's Gary. He's a tinkerer. He just goes, oh, I like that. Oh, let's try that. Oh, yeah, cool. Twiddle a few knobs, and yeah, I mean, he's a great singer, but you know, but you know, everyone should, you know, has the skills to be able to do that, and some more than others. But I had a go and see what you think.
Yeah, lovely. We would love to hear that. So thank you very much for joining us today, Simon.
Bekka. I'm so privileged to be asked to, and thank you to everyone at Integrity, and thank you all for listening to me. And I hope yes. Oh yeah, can I just put in have a look at my website, which is www.srmusic.co.uk, and Scaparis.uk is the Scaparis website, which is my orchestra. And yeah, if you want to become a patron, it's patreon.com/Scaparis.
Tell us a little bit about the Patreon before you go. Actually, tell us a little bit about that.
It's something we've just started. Okay, I don't like talking about it too much, but we've got a few fans. I was like, I've always kind of thought, you know, fan club, but it's a bit of a fan club, and they're called the Viking Legion, and everyone gets, like, who joins in the tier gets a particular Viking, like gold Viking. You pay this much, you get all this, and you get, you know, free tickets, VIP tickets, after party, you know, hang out. Yeah, all the cool stuff.
So what I have done is I have shared the link for your website in the interview page. So guys, please do go and check that out. Please go and support Simon, what he's doing. He's an incredibly talented conductor and composer, and I look forward to hearing that symphony when it's ready. No pressure, darling.
Guest of honor, my dear. Guest of honor. But I will see you in Soho before then, I'm sure.
It's an absolute date. All right, thank you. Good evening, guys, and good night. Have a lovely one, and we will see you next Monday.
See you. Take care.